Between October 2024 and February 2025, Nigeria's local government received an average of 400 billion naira each month. That was a massive over 30% increase compared to the pre-Tinubu administration. In July 2024, the Supreme Court, in a landmark judgment, granted the local government their financial autonomy. The Supreme Court, in justifying its position, stated that the demands of the justice require a progressive interpretation of the law. It is the position of this court that the Federation can pay local government areas allocation to the local government directly or pay them through the states. In this case, since paying them through the state has not worked, justice of this case demands that local government area allocations from the Federation account should henceforth be paid directly to the local government areas.
Money due to local government shall be paid through the joint account, but that provision was considered to be a discretional provision, meaning it can be tinkered with.
An iconic judgment that has restored grassroots democracy.
Now is granted. The local government chairman, if elected, he will get his money, he will sit down and design the budget, him and his councillors, and do whatever the people require from his own local government.
The last Supreme Court judgment, you see that you don't subject the verdict of a court to negotiation. It is not whether I like it, or you love it, or you don't like it. It is mandatory, and that the highest court of the land has ruled that, look, henceforth, make sure that you pay these monies directly to 774 local government councils who have a duly elected officials. Now it is federal government who went to court. And it is the same federal government that is in custody of the funds. So what are we saying? So you got what you wanted from court, and then you have refused to act. Every day we keep hearing that the federal government is meeting with state governors, is meeting with local government. I wonder what they are negotiating. Are you negotiating that, oh, you don't want to adhere to the ruling because you do not need a moratorium period to execute judgment of a competent, no less a court than the Supreme Court?
If the state governments are still going to conduct the local government elections, there's no amount of independence you give to people that will make meaning. Because the man is not there on his own. The man was handpicked. He was bankrolled by the emperor, that is the governor, in that state. So how does he say no to the governor? And how does he prepare what we call budget? Budget, like you know, it's a financial plan by an organization on how they intend to utilize the funds, for the period of the budgeting. But these are not independent people. So they don't even have that freedom of saying that, oh, this is what we want to do with the money in this year or this month. So we have to address the root cause of the independence at that tier of government.
There was good reason for Nigerians to celebrate. As a third tier of government, the local government has been rendered ineffective, inefficient, corrupt, and politicized by the state governments. The local government only served as an instrument for state government to ambush federal allocation for whatever use the governors fancied. By the Supreme Court ruling, the state government should no longer have access to the local government allocation from the Federation account. As of this afternoon, every state government in Nigeria still gets the local government allocation against the very pronouncement of the Supreme Court.
The allocation for local government is still paid into the state joint account. So every month, their monies is paid into the state joint account managed by state government. So even after the Supreme Court ruling, nothing has changed. That is why stakeholders are coming together to say that, look, there's a unanimity. If you recall the kind of celebration that greeted the Supreme Court judgment by Nigerians, and people say, oh, this is the best thing that this government of Tinubu has done to Nigerians. So, but the federal government is beginning to take a position that would water down this high point they have scored by securing that judgment.
Only agency of government that enforces law, they are all in the hands of the federal government. That is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So if he wants the local government to work, he can leverage on the judgment passed by the various courts and then enforce the functioning of the local government. But it's not in his interest too. It's not in the interest of Bola Tinubu for local government to function, because he is also interested in the arbitrariness and the crime, that organized crime that is happening, because that's how they also get their votes.
The impunity of the state governors to act against the pronouncement of the Supreme Court is only one layer of the burden that the local government now carries. The Central Bank of Nigeria, in a move to provide a banking platform for the receipt of local government allocations to the councils, has requested the local government to open accounts with the Apex Bank. As of this afternoon, not one local government has opened an account. Again, the culture of impunity is either by the local government chairmen and their councils or manipulated by the state government. Nigerians may have celebrated too quickly.
Well, for now, I have not heard of any official communication that local government should go and open accounts with CBN. I hear about the speculations that local government have been asked, but I have verified even from my own local government chairman that they have not received any official communication to go to the branch of CBN in their states to open an account.
Because of the huge public revenue now going to the local governments, many Nigerians have advocated for more accountability. By the provisions of the Constitution, local governments are to provide primary health services, construct roads, run primary education, develop and maintain markets, and attend to the development needs of local communities. These responsibilities are to be executed transparently and in an accountable manner. To do so require budgeting for effective monitoring and tracking, and ensuring that huge public resources are deployed to meet the real needs of the people. Unfortunately, no local government plan produces or presents budgets.
It is not true that many local governments don't present budgets. The truth of the matter is that all local government councils in Nigeria present budget, have approved budgets, but you see, it's the process through which they do their budgeting system that differs. Some local government allow the Ministry for Local Government to do budgets for them and then approve. But you see, the standard procedure is that the executive arm of each local government council make appropriation estimates, present to the legislative council of the local government, and then it approves, and then the chairman will sign and becomes an act. So what is happening in most local government, first, it has to do with the issues around autonomy of the local government. The local government, as we speak today, is not autonomous, so that affects the operational guidelines of the local government.
So in order to fulfill that Supreme Court decision, it is mandatory for local government to make its own budget for itself, rather than going or relying on what the states approve for them.
If the budgets are presented through the state government ministries and the budgets are not known to the public, how do residents of any local government monitor how funds meant for their well-being get spent? The challenge here goes to the roots of the definition of local government by Nigeria's political leadership. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, shortly after the July 11, 2024 Supreme Court ruling granting financial autonomy to local governments, pacified angry state governors that he would not take their local governments out of their control. In other words, political leaders don't see the local government as an independent tier of government, but as part of their political structure to control and use for winning elections and staying in power.
All the judgment you can pass, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't change anything until you change the way elections are conducted in this country. And until the votes start counting, if the votes do not count, there's no way anything can happen in the manner and the way you are thinking it will happen. Even Mr. President himself is afraid of the governors. Because I remember the last meeting he had was there in Lagos. He was appealing to them and then telling them that he's not going to interfere with their state matters. That the local governments are in their pockets. They can do whatever they like with it. And he's not going to interfere. So if the man who has the power to enforce says he's not going to reinforce, okay, you can go to court, you can go to wherever you want to go to. The judges can pass whatever judgment they want to pass. Who is going to enforce it?
First thing solution, implement fully the judgment of the Supreme Court. And then closely related to that as a solution is that the National Assembly must amend the Constitution to grant full financial and administrative autonomy to the local government.
Agora Policy Forum, a public policy think tank funded by the MacArthur Foundations, says revenue generation, accountability, service delivery, and effectiveness are the indices of good governance at the local government level. But how can these be realized when local government is seen only as a political structure and not a tier of government? How can there be governance at the local government level when there is no budget? How can residents know, log into, and monitor how much is allocated to the local government and how much is budgeted for what? Autonomy for the local government and the budget that should accompany them are in the Supreme Court's documents. For now, neither President Bola Ahmed Tinubu nor the state governments want the local governments to be free. Such freedom will make more meaning to Nigeria's democracy, which they do not want. In Abuja, I am Chimize Zedima for 360 Nigeria.
360 Nigeria, tracking issues in the polity.